Israel. Yoel, as it sounds in Hebrew. And we will see why the names in Hebrew are so important in a while. Okay, because this is Jerusalem and we speak Hebrew, although the city is full of languages. But yeah, Hebrew is the language that the world was created with, so we'd like to start with that. Do you know that the world was created with words, with letters? Oh, okay, so you learn a few things here. In the model, we'll see the tunnels in a while. It will take us to get a few minutes, more than a few, to get to the tunnels themselves. This is a mountain, it is called Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah, can you please take your hands? Thank you very much. Mount Moriah, as you see it in front of you, there's another mountain in the east, it's called the Mount of Olives. So I guess we didn't have enough space. I'll be the Mount of Olives for you. And between Mount of Olives and Mount Moriah, there's a valley. It's called Kidron. Kidron Valley goes from the north to the south, actually southeast, and it goes down to the Dead Sea. You know what happened to the water to go down to the Dead Sea? They die there. That means you can't use them no more. It's very important. And between Mount Moriah and the city of Jerusalem, what we call today the Old City, that's where you probably all came from. You went down, right? So you came down into another valley. And this is the valley, and the name of this valley is very, very simple. It's called the valley. Like I said, things are simple. So, to this, in the center of the mountain, there's a stone. It's called the foundation stone. I would like you to think, what is it the foundation of? Maybe it'll give you an idea. Why is it called the foundation stone? As I said to the people who were here before, on top of the foundation stone is the Dome of the Rock, and it's called the Dome of the Rock because it's a dome above a rock. Right? We don't need the Dome of the Rock now, so we go back 4,000 years. 4,000 years ago came here a man, his name was Abraham, Avram Avinu. He came here because the Lord spoke to Abraham, as you know, all the book of Genesis. He said to him these words, and I quote, he said to him, please, take your son, your only one, whom you love, Yitzhak, Isaac, okay, and go to the land of Moriah. Bring him up there as an offering on one of the mountains that I shall tell you. This is that mountain. Abraham came from the south, from Beersheba. He was walking 3 days from Beersheba to Jerusalem with his son. Did he walk with his son, or did he take him in a stroller? How did he, anybody knows how old was the son?
37.
Wow. Say again?
37 years old.
37, 37, 37. That must be the right answer, right? He was 37 years old, that's right. And how do we know that he was, hello? Are you for the 252? 7 is the number, right? Most people don't know that, but the people who read the Torah with the commentary of Rashi, for example, he says that Sarah died when she was 127. It says there that Sarah was as beautiful as she was when she was 20. The commentary doesn't tell us how she did that. But it does tell us that she died on the day that Isaac was brought as sacrifice. We know she gave birth when she was 90. From 90 to 127 is 37 years. He's a grown-up. He's a big boy. He knows where he's going. He knows he is the offering. So if we're saying this is, okay, so what happens then? So Isaac brings here, Abraham and Isaac are coming here to the Temple Mount. And then he ties him to the rock. And then he raises his hand with a knife. And he's about to go down with a knife when an angel comes, stops him and says to him, don't touch the boy. If I was Abraham, I would have said, hey, God told me to do that. But of course we know it's a test. It's a test. What kind of a test is it, ladies and gentlemen? Please, you will get the answer. Why is it called the foundation stone? He said it. Do you have an idea? Go on. Faith. He said the same thing. So he must be right. I mean, there's something. That's it. The test is whether he believes. It's a 10th test. It's not the first one. Whether he believes. Whether he has faith in the Lord. And that's it. So that's why we call this the foundation stone. Because it's the foundation of monotheism, I would say this way. The belief in one Lord. Even the Muslims call Abraham the father of all believers. They say he was Muslim, but that's their idea. Okay. We were there before. So that's it, Abraham. That's 4,000 years ago. We jump 1,000 years, we get to David. Melech David comes here 1,000 years after this. That's 3,000 years ago. He conquered the whole land of Israel. He conquered the area of Jerusalem from the peoples that were called Jevusi. Okay, he conquered it for them by force. And then he established the city of David, and it's down here. It's very simple to find. You go out the down gate down to the left, you find the city of David. It was a very small town. And then David bought this piece of land. The mountain he buys, this mountain is 4 times the size of the city, by the way. He pays money to one of these Jebusites. His name was Araunah the Jebusite. Why does David have to buy the mountain? It's not enough that he conquered the mountain. If I conquered something, it's mine, isn't it? No, it is not. As we know very well, right? If I conquered something, it's not really mine. So David buys it because he knows that the temple will be built here. And David also wanted to build the temple, but he was not allowed to build the temple for a simple reason that his hands are full of. Very good. So his hands are full of what? So what? So what? So why can't he build the temple? Although his hands are full of blood, because he's not pure. They can purify him with the ashes of a red cow. But that's not the idea. The idea is a very deep idea. The idea is this, that the temple is a symbol of peace. Peace will start when the temple will be here. Real peace will be there. So, David is not allowed to build it. The one who will build it, his name will even contain the word peace. In Hebrew, of course. How do you say peace in Hebrew? Shalom. Shalom. And who built the temple? Shalom. I did not hear Solomon. No Solomon, right? Nobody said Solomon. Solomon is the name of a fish.
Very good one.
Yeah. But it's a joke, you know. We don't have to take it serious. Of course, Shlomo, like I say, Hebrews, do you hear it? Shalom, Shlomo. Shalom, Solomon? Not so well. Okay. This is the temple. This is the model of the temple. This is the temple. The white building, this is the temple. This is the white part. This is where the ulam, where the menorah, and this is the whole. This is the Holy of Holies. This part, the narrow part, is facing you. It's called the Holy of Holies. Inside the Holy of Holies, in the first temple only, was the Ark of the Covenant. Do you know what is inside the Ark of the Covenant? The 10 Commandments, the broken ones or the whole ones?
Yes.
Both, right, both. What else is inside the Ark of the Covenant? A jar. There's the manna inside, the jar with the manna. And the staff of Aaron and a Torah scroll. All this is inside the Ark of the Covenant, and the Ark of the Covenant is on top of the foundation stone. And here is the first temple until the year 586 BCE. 586, when it was destroyed by the Babylonians. But before it was destroyed, a king called Yehoshua takes out the Ark of the Covenant from inside the temple and hides it underneath the Temple Mount, and nobody knows where it is. No one, not even those who claim they know, like National Geographic. And, of course, Indiana Jones, right? Nobody knows. So this is the first exile to Babylon. There, they are in Babylon. They're sitting in Babylon there. What do they do in Babylon? They start to write down what we call the Mishnah and the Talmud, and they do something else which is very fun to do. They sing a song. You know which song they sang? Yeah, it's very simple. It goes like this. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, come on, and we wept when we remembered Zion. Come on, guys. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, and when we remember Zion. That's right. We remember Zion. This is Zion. This mountain is actually Mount Zion. That's the real name of it. Mount Zion, from Mitzion Tetzeh Torah, from here. So this is it. So they sat there for 70 years, singing, and then they come back after 70 years. Well, they sang, they were weeping all the time. Okay, so they came back here after 70 years, and they built the first version of the second temple. Because the people who came from Babylon were poor, they are in exile. You know, it's not when the Americans will come eventually from America, finally they need to do the last temple. We didn't say anything. It comes and sleeps in my mouth. All right. They came from Babylon, they are poor, they are building a poor temple. It's very poor because you know that it says that the old people came from Babylon, when they saw this temple, they remembered the old one, they started to cry. So this temple stays here for about 70 years, and then came the Greek and conquered the world. The Greek conquered the world. A king called Alexander the Great. He conquers the whole world, he brings a new way of life, it's called Hellenism. Do you know, guys, what Hellenism is?
Wisdom.
What is it?
Wisdom.
It's wisdom? Oh boy, is it?
My name is Helen, sir.
Oh, your name is Helen itself, sorry. So I'm not going to give you my version. Hellenism is a way of life that says enjoy life and who cares about the rest. That's what Hellenism really is. Enjoy life. I define it by a song.
Yeah.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Just live and let die. That's my version. I'm sorry. Okay, forget it. So that's Hellenism. Alexander the Great conquers the whole world. Alexander the Great and the Greek believe in gods that look like themselves. They're statues, right, with the shape of a human being. And when they come to Jerusalem and they see the temple, this second temple has nothing inside the Holy of Holies. There's nothing inside. The Ark of the Covenant is hidden underneath, so there's nothing inside. So one of the kings who replaced Alexander the Great, his name was Antiochus. Antiochus Epiphanes IV. Do you know the meaning of that word, Epiphanes? That means the godly one. Epiphanes thinks he's the god. So he says, if there is no God inside that temple, why not put my statue inside there? Which is a declaration of war to the Jews that nobody comes inside the Holy of Holies except from one man one time a year. And they put a statue inside. War. Matityahu and his sons, the Hashmonaim, the Maccabees are fighting against the Greek, and they win the war and they establish a kingdom. You get that? Alexander the Great is already dead. We're talking about Matityahu and his sons. They are priests. They are priests. They are not to rule. They were not meant to become kings. And because they take some of that Hellenism, they want to become kings as well. So you imagine the two brothers want to be kings at the same time. What happened then? The Romans said, we'll help you decide. Get out of here. We'll bring our own king. And the man that comes in on behalf of the Romans, his name is very famous. Everybody knows him. He's called Herod. You heard about Herod, right? And I'm sure you heard about Herod. Herod made sure that you will hear about him for 2,000 years. Herod built all over. I'm not going to speak about the bad things that Herod done. Herod done kill his wife, kill his children, killed the Hashmonaim, did all that terrible stuff. But we'll speak about the good stuff that he had done. He built the temple. And for us, it's enough. Because he did something that nothing was done before. Herod is an Edomite city. He's a Jew, but he marries a Hashmonaim woman, a princess. He loves her very much. He kills her at the end, but yeah, out of love, yeah, sure. That's why he put her in honey for all the rest of her life. Herod builds a temple. That's most important. He builds Caesarea, he builds Mitzvah, he builds everywhere, he builds palaces, but he builds this, and that's what we are interested in about. Herod is a big architect. A big architect looks at the mountain. You will look with me at the mountain, please. You see the mountain. There's a valley here. The name of this valley is the valley. And down here is the Kidron Valley. And here in the north, you see this part of the mountain. This is the mountain itself. It's rock. The whole thing is bedrock and it's very high. Herod does this. Herod builds over this valley arches. And over this valley arches. And then he starts to fill all this area with tons of earth. He pushes here tons of earth. He doesn't want all this earth to fall down into this valley. Yes, madam. You see, understand what I'm saying? This is the valley. He doesn't want the earth to fall down. So he built here a big wall, which is a retaining wall. A big wall to hold it. And this is this wall. It's called the southern wall. Right here. And then he builds this eastern wall and the northern wall. And he builds the western wall. This rock is on his way. This rock is the best solution for him. Herod puts here a big quarry in the north. And from this gigantic rock, Herod builds and chisels out big boulders. And from these boulders, Herod builds what we call, until today, excuse me, the Temple Mount. Now it is the Temple Mount. And you see what he did? This is the southern wall. The length of this is 750 feet. This is the eastern wall. The length of this is 1,200 feet. And this is the northern wall. The length of this is 900 feet. And this is the western wall. And the length of the western wall is 1,500 feet. And here in the north, in the south, the wall is 150 feet high. But since the rock is going higher all the time, the wall will be shorter. It will not, here at the end the same place, but the rock is below and the wall will be above the rock. And we will see it on our way. Okay, to build these walls takes him between 8 to 10 years. And why is that? This is the Ministry of Education forcing the kids of Jerusalem to come to the Kotel Ma'aravi once a year. And we have to enjoy it. So, you understand this is important to remember because nothing like this was done before. And you understand they built these walls from very big stones. The smallest stones here is 1.5 tons. The smallest stone is 1.5 tons. There are stones here that are 50 tons. There are stones that are much bigger than this. And all the walls around here were built with anything, nothing between the stones. There is nothing between the stones. Nothing. Only the weight of the stones and the work of the chiselers. Because they had to chisel the stones from all sides very accurate. Otherwise it will be a rocking wall, you understand? And not the Western Wall. It will be moved. And that's why this work took them 10 years. And 10,000 people were chiseling stones here. And at the end here, on top of the mountain, we have this, which is the temple that our sages of blessed memory said about this temple. The one who did not see King Herod's temple did not see beauty in his life. Okay, guys, we haven't seen beauty in our lives. And that's what we see here. Only a little virtual model that has a few mistakes, and we'll talk about them right now. This is the bridge that you are standing underneath now, actually. These are the foundation of the bridge. The bridge itself is not there, but these are the foundation. These arches you see over here are these arches. We are underneath the fourth arch, right over here. The third one, excuse me. Whoops, it disappeared. Right inside there, that's where we are. By the way, it was a very, very big bridge, and that's why they called it the Big Bridge. All along the Western Wall, we don't see it also. All along here was a street, a main big shopping center. I would call it a mall. Okay, there are shops on the right, shops on the left, lines of pillars, sidewalks placed for the chariots, for the behemoths, for the animals. Very wide street. People come to Jerusalem from all over the world. They need things to eat, to drink, to change their clothes, to buy their shoes, to buy the offerings, to buy the incense, to change their money. And that's why we call this street Wall Street. For the simple reason. The temple, as I said, 150 feet high. And the bridge, I will go back to the bridge just for you to understand something very important. This is a virtual model. Virtual doesn't mean real. The bridge is not going down. The bridge is going up. Because there was a water system on this bridge. I never saw water climb up a bridge. This is because it's virtual. I'll just show you a little round around the temple to see how it looks. This is the southern wall with two gates of Hulda. This is the eastern wall with the one golden gate over here. This is the northern wall with the pools of Chisda, and this is the western wall, and this is the bridge. Also here it doesn't see, you don't see it very well. It goes up because it goes all the way up to the Jaffa gate. Now, this is the destruction of the temple. This is the year 70. The year 70, the Romans destroyed the Jewish temple by burning it. Titus, you would call him, burned the temple. But you understand that walls like this could not be destroyed by fire. The Roman legions were sent to destroy the walls around the Temple Mount. And they did it by simply, not so simple, throw the stones down. They threw the stones down, and we found them when we came back here in 1967. This whole area, which is the southern part of the Western Wall, was piled with stones. Piled with hundreds of stones from the Western Wall. We saw them in 1967. Most of them were taken away. Some of them are still there. You can see them when you go to the Davidson Center. So the temple is destroyed. The year was exactly 70, and both temples were destroyed on the same date, 586 BCE. Yes? 586, the first temple was destroyed 586 BCE. Second one, 70 AD. Both destroyed on the same date. What is the date? Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, everybody knows? Everybody doesn't know. What do I say to the people who don't know what Tisha B'Av is? I will explain it this. Jews have also a year with 12 months. The 11th month is called Av. It's the 9th day of the 11th Jewish month. 9/11. In Hebrew, it's the other way around. Don't tell me. After the look, guys, he told me we have to leave. After the destruction of the temple, about 65 years, will be the destruction of the city of Jerusalem. A Caesar by the name of Adrian destroys the city of Jerusalem completely, builds on top of a new city, and calls it also a new name. He calls Jerusalem after himself. His name is Elius Adrianus. He said Jews are not allowed to live in Jerusalem no more. For 500 years, Jerusalem was Judenrein, clean from Jews. They were allowed to see only on the one day a year, on the date of the destruction of the temple. That was 500 years. And then on the year 638, the Muslims conquered Jerusalem and built on top of the mountain the Dome of the Rock, on the spot where the temple was, exactly. Here it stands until today. And they were here altogether 400 years. The Muslims were kind to the Jews. They allowed them to live in Jerusalem. But after them came the Crusaders. They did not allow the Jews to live. And then came Salah ad-Din. And then came the Crusaders. And then came Salah ad-Din. And then came the Mamelukes. Mamelukes came 700 years ago, and they built the arches around the city because what did they do? They wanted to build the houses on top and be close to the Dome of the Rock. Where is the Dome of the Rock? Here it is. They wanted to build the houses close to the Dome of the Rock. The Dome was very high, so they built arches all over the valley in order to build the houses close to the Dome of the Rock. Pay attention.